Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm Chelsea Gomez. Most of you in the audience have met me or at least listened to me before, so thank you for coming yet again. And today we're going to talk about the magic of AI and how to use AI with the help of reviews to get yourself some more business and some more prospecting, show up a little bit more online. Joining me today is my partner in crime, and we have not committed any crimes yet, but just in case you see any crimes around, it wasn't us. Randy Lober. Randy, give the people what they want.
It absolutely was not us. No crimes here at all. But hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Growth Marketing Manager here at Action Benefits. If we haven't yet had the pleasure of meeting, and part of our job, Chelsea and I together, is helping you grow your book of business. Today, we're going to do that by talking a little bit about AI and how particularly reviews can help you boost your presence. Um, and I guess to show you that we know a little bit what we're talking about, right? To build some credibility up front that that we're the people that can at least start this conversation with you, Chelsea. I'm going to actually steal the screen from you right now, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
And what we want to do is first get all this junk out of your way so you can see what it is that I want you to see. But second thing we want to do is show you that Chelsea and I have a little bit of credibility here working with AI, right? Making ourselves visible, ourselves as in Action Benefits here visible, right? So, part of what we're going to talk about today is the power of reviews and how that helps boost your presence on any search engine, right? Today we're talking about Google, but the same is true for Bing or anything else. And actually, it's part of the reason why we sometimes solicit you all to give us reviews. And so far, a bunch of you have on our Google My Business page, and we'll get there a little bit later. But what your reviews do for us is let's Google and AI chatbots know that we collectively Action Benefits are okay at doing our jobs. And what that means is when we put together content that is relevant to insurance agents, right? There's some trust signals sent to the AI. So if you were to go out and search Medicare 48-hour rule right now, and you'd look over at this AI overview in the AI block, your first people that show up there are your trusty partners from Action Benefits, right? And the reviews you leave us, in addition to the high quality of the content, I must say myself, but the reviews you leave us are part of the reason that we get there. Same when we talk about Medicare Advantage commissions. We outrank even CMS in talking about Medicare Advantage commissions. When the first place Google looks for information about Medicare Advantage commissions is to us, not even to CMS, not even to bigger brokers here. We're coming up here first. And again, your reviews are part of what goes into that equation. Same thing when you're looking for a late enrollment penalty calculator. By the way, we have one if you haven't found it. If you're looking for one, we're not in first place yet, but we're in the running here, right? We're in the three. And again, your reviews help signal to Google and other AI chatbots that we are trustworthy, that what we have to say is valuable. And what we want to do is kind of lift up the hood a little bit, show you how some of these work, and walk you through mitigating and getting good reviews for your agency in the first place. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and give it back to Chelsea here for a moment. But that's kind of why Chelsea and I are some of the right people to have this conversation with you here today.
Whenever I want to feel good about myself, I go check those too because I'm just like, look, Google trusts you. You know things. Your agent should too, and you do. So yes, though, if you go to, like Randy said, Google some of those things, we are some of the first, if three, if not the first thing that you find to talk about those particular subjects. And that didn't happen by accident. That happened from the hard work of a couple guys and gals, and then some support from the rest of the team here in Action. It wasn't just us, but it's really a numbers game. We'll talk a little bit more about how we got there momentarily. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and Randy and myself will get to them as soon as we can. But before that, I always like to ask a question to get us into the mindset a little bit before we get talking about some of the data and facts. I know all of you all in the chat in some capacity have seen a review in some way, shape, or form. I just know it. What do you think about or look for when you are reading online reviews? I know for myself personally, This is stolen from Amazon because I read Amazon reviews all the time when I'm purchasing something, especially something new. I remember when I was buying my new vacuum cleaner, I was looking at tons of different online reviews. I even turned around and asked the guy behind me how he liked his vacuum cleaner. You look for, what do you look for when you are trusting someone to tell you about their business or about what experiences they had at their business? And one of my hints to you is that picture on the screen is one of the things you probably look for, right? You probably check for the person's point of view or perspective, right? So you look at this picture, you're like, oh man, I don't know if I trust this person's reviews of the balloons because they put the D backwards to make it into a lowercase a and so they got an extra A, right? So maybe that person isn't the best source to get that review and get to the information you need from that person. Or the other way around, maybe there's tons of reviews and they're all 5 stars and they're great. Well, is that suspicious at that point? I don't know. Lots of different things that we think about and we look for in online reviews. And it used to be back a long time ago that the more reviews you had, the better it was. It didn't matter. You could just go around begging anybody and anybody for a review. You get that 5 stars, good, golden, awesome. You could pay people to just review for you, get more reviews, and those would be great. It would just boost everything at your website. Great time. Not necessarily the case anymore. Things have gotten even smarter since then. You can't just go around paying for reviews anymore and expect the same type of results as someone who's going through the hard work and earning those reviews. So today we'll talk about, we already gave you a little bit of a sneak peek of why reviews are valuable to your business, how reviews contribute to your business's digital health, how you can handle reviews, both good and bad, and how to get more reviews. So essentially the reason why reviews are valuable to your business, particularly online, is because the more interactions and the more people pay attention to your business online, the more likely that your business is going to be suggested to users who Google AI and other AI instances are going to give that situation to your clients. The more they're going to put those reviews in front of you. And how they do that is through chatbots more likely nowadays than ever before because people are more and more likely to use a chatbot in a replacement of a Google search engine. So what exactly is a chatbot? I know a lot of us will have the phrase Google it or Googling has came into our vernacular and it now is a verb instead of a noun. So chatbots are kind of like Google. They are software designed to stimulate human conversation through text or voice commands. And the difference between this and Google is the second section right here, is that it uses natural language processing to understand the user's intent and response. So essentially the key difference is that it's meant to function conversationally and pick up on social cues similar to the way a human being would participate in these cues. And to highlight the difference, I always think about when I was in like maybe fifth or sixth grade or something, and maybe I'm showing how old I am for a second here, but in around fifth or sixth grade, I remember they took my class into the library and they taught us how to Google things. I remember because I had never seen Google before. And they told us we always used an MSN.com or something, if you guys remember all that. And I remember them telling us things like, oh, putting the words in air quotes, or in quotes, not air quotes, I'm doing air quotes, but if you put the word in quotes, that's going to throw up a different result than just Googling the entire phrase. And putting something in parentheses and putting something in with pluses or saying minus this or putting in a colon, that's going to change the way that the search engine presents your materials based on the way that you are inputting the criteria, meaning essentially that we had to adapt as human beings to the way that the computer was functioning because the computer could only do so much. This is the other way around. The AI is using the way that you speak to it naturally to learn more about the preferences you have and the things that you want it to do and the where you live and the questions you ask to learn more about you. It's starting to get kind of crazy. The one I use now knows a bunch about me personally. It'll know that like, oh, it knows what shampoo I use. Like it knows that I have one child. It knows a lot about me based on the questions that I've asked it over time. And so, as these chatbots function in people's lives, it's more likely to get answers that are very specific, very helpful to that person in comparison to back in the day in sixth grade when I was just throwing words into the search engine and hoping to get kind of what I was looking for. So you have probably yourself, whether you know it or not, have used a chat bot like this before. I pulled a bunch of the ones that are most utilized or most familiar with and threw them on the screen here for you. Yes, Alexa, if you have one of those, counts as an AI chatbot because she can provide you with suggestions or recommendations. Those are the ones that we are going to be focusing on more of today because those are the ones that are going to recommend our business, right? Like, yes, it's cool and we're interested in, in case you're a nerd like me, you're interested in all the other kinds and how they work and all that stuff. But for today, we're focusing on the ones that can affect whether or not our business gets put in front of more clients, right? So Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini are the three that I probably will use most as examples, just because those are the three I'm most familiar with. But there are other ones out there as well. So again, why should we care about these chatbots? You might use them first and foremost. So it's probably a good, if you do use them, it's a good idea to know kind of how they work and why they do the things that they do, so that you can make better informed decisions about how to use it to the best of its abilities, or if it has a fault, when that fault might be, how that fault might have came to be, how to fact check it and get it back on course. And of course, the reason that we're here today, as your clients probably use them as well, whether they know it or not, either whether they're very aware of it and they have like the Gemini app in their phone and they're typing into it all the time and they're talking to it all the time, or if they don't understand and they're just kind of asking Alexa, like, hey, Alexa, do you think I should like pay my health insurance premium? Or what do you think? Maybe they're not as aware and they are using those as well. And chatbots can recommend your business to new prospects. So that's kind of why we care about this the most, I would say. It's because we want that chatbot to pick up on us, right? And know that we exist and put us in front of those new prospects so they give us a call. In comparison to some of the more old school ways that we get the attention of search bots, they're kind of similar, but not exactly the same. So reviews are one of those ways that they're a little different, which we'll get to momentarily. So, how is it that you can get to the attention of these AI chatbots to get your business recommended by these bots? The magic number is three. So, three is the number of quantifiers that the AI will use to determine matches. So, basically, the items that the chatbot will use to measure, is this item a good match for what this person is looking for? Is action benefits, if the person is looking for help with their health insurance, right? Is action benefits a good fit here? Because, right, as we know, action benefits, this is kind of tricky, and why our job was sometimes tricky, especially at first, because yes, we can help agents help clients, right? But we're not really there for clients to call us, right? You are the agents, you're looking for us, right? So that was a very specific thing that we had, challenge we had when we first started, right? With our AI experiences, because we had to make sure that we fell within a certain quantifier so they knew that we were here to support you guys as agents and not steal your guys as clients, right? So that's one. The second one is how many years back chatbots will look for answers. They generally look back about 3 years. They might go back a little farther, but for the most part, they tend to say within the last 3 years. So if you are someone, for instance, who paid somebody to set up a website for you, 4 or 5 years ago, and you're happy with it and it's great, I'm not telling you to just delete it, but I'm saying that some refreshes can really make sure that you are staying on the radar of all of the chatbots that are out there that we're talking about today. And then three is also the number of options that usually get presented to clients in a chatbot. It's not always the case. I tested it myself, and it's not always three, but it tends to be three. And the more specific of a thing you're asking for, the more likely that number is going to be whittled down, but it almost always gives three, at least. So that's why I say keep the number three in mind. So, what are those quantifiers? What are those things that AI chatbots are looking for to determine if you are a match for what this person is searching for? And often it is a presence on the internet of some kind. Uh, I always recommend because it's a double-edged sword because I always love recommending that agents have a website created for themselves and that works great for them that they're updating all the time. I understand that is a huge undertaking and not always something that you have the bandwidth for if you're a one-stop shop, one-man show, something like that. So I tend to recommend a Google business profile as kind of like a middle ground, right? Because that throws you on Google Maps, that gives you a place, a centralized location. If someone Googles the name of your business, you come up on that right hand side there. If you've ever done that before, I'm sure you have. And it's a great way to house things like your hours. And if you do end up going somewhere and getting a website, it can house that website. It can house directions on how to get to you, gives a place to put your phone number so people can call you, has a housing place for your reviews, and gives lots of different places for you to add photos or other business information for yourself. So we'll check to make sure that you are out there. But I know what you're thinking, Chelsea. Anybody can go on there. I know because I tried when I was in high school and named our house as a business one time to see if you could, right? It's gotten a little better since I was in high school. It does know sometimes when someone is fibbing, right? So there are other ways that it checks. And one of the other ways that it checks is seeing if you have your own website as well or are mentioned by other websites, right? Meaning you have other profiles of other places that back check and fact check and cross check with what you already have there, right? So if we were to check if Action Benefits existed, we would see, oh, okay, it's got a, we have the Google business profile that looks legit. We go to their Facebook. Okay, yep, the Facebook seems to be the same people as this Action Benefits place. We go to LinkedIn. Yes, that LinkedIn seems to be the same people. And there's a YouTube channel, and that seems to be the same people as well. They have the same name, the same logo, same address, same phone number. AI will often check the name, address, phone number as the three things to make sure that you are keeping congruent through all of these accounts. So try your best. I know sometimes the names are already taken. Try to keep those things similar and link them together, right? If you've ever seen one of these right here, business profiles, you'll know that there are buttons on the bottom that you can link those different social media platforms together. And these are not the only ones, right? Of course, there's other different websites out there that can be mentioning you. But these are just the ones that are most common, right? It's awesome if you can get like a newspaper to write an article on you, if you can pay for some ad space there. Awesome options as well. These are just the ones that I had available to screenshot for us. And then finally, like I said, other people mentioning you that aren't necessarily those social media profiles. So like these reviews, right? So on places like yellow pages, like the internet yellow pages or any of these places that host and recommend businesses to people. So like I always think of like the Angie's List of health insurance, getting yourself on one of these, like an advisor list. Glassdoor is another one I think of off the top of my head. There's a couple different insurance agency versions of the Yellow Pages online that I can't think of all the names of them on the top of my head right now, but Employer Advisor is one of them. Seeing that you're on these types of websites. So these are the three things that it'll look for, right? Your own website, how you're mentioned, and if your website, how you are mentioned on other people's websites, and if you are reviewed on those websites. So if you haven't already thought of like, well, what kind of thing could I compare AI to? Think of it kind of like as an underwriter, right? So think of it as the person who is going around acting as the detective, double checking to make sure you exist, right? If you were being double checked, I guess, to see if you existed, the first thing you would do is you would go look on the internet, see if this person exists, right? And then they go through and they see what other people are mentioning this business, right? Are they being mentioned by other reputable sources? And then out in the real world, are customers having experiences with this business and are those experiences positive? And are they able to talk about their experiences? Is it just 100 people putting 5 stars and that's it? And these people don't have names and it's just numbers and whatever? Or are these reputable people who also have been underwritten and also are clearly real people and are all putting these reviews and these good reviews out for the public to see? The more all three of these things happen, stack together, and work in tandem, pushes you up the algorithm for these chatbots, makes you more likely to be mentioned by these chatbots. Okay? And like I mentioned before, usually a chatbot will give you the first three options, but sometimes more. I just was curious, so I experimented with it when I was making these slides. And I asked Claude where I should go for pizza. It gave me 4 options because that was such a broad request, right? It gave me too close to my home, too close to where I was in Southfield. 4 different options, right? And each option had some sort of niche that it was working its way into, right? So I love this kind of example, right? Because the first example it said was Buddy's Pizza. It's Detroit classic. That's the reason why you would want to go there. Jets is quick and reliable, right? So it's reading. This is proof to me that AI understands enough about these restaurants where it can read its website, understand what their marketing angle is, and present it quickly and efficiently to the person who asked the question. So if what this is telling me is your website, when it does exist, should have a very easy to know, easy to pick up on marketing kind of spin that will set them apart from the other ones around them. So it has a reason to include it in the list, right? Okay? That gives this AI chatbot a reason to present it to you and to the clients. AI chatbots at the end of the day are trying to prove themselves as a helpful item to the people using them. So the more that it views you as helpful, the more that it's going to turn to your agency and display it to the people using it so that they seem more helpful. So the cycle continues, right? All right, why do reviews matter? So as we transition into how those reviews are put up onto your profiles or onto your websites, that little orange sliver of that pie chart that I gave to you earlier. Randy, did I miss anything while I take a sip of water really quick or anything you have to add?
No, not just yet. I apologize. My internet connection has been a little unstable here, so I've been dropping on and off here. But everything you appear to cover all the bases here.
Mine said that I was dropping a little too. So audience, if you had any problems or if there's anything you missed or any questions you have, please let me know. I did get it flashed on my screen for a second that I did have some sort of internet instability. So I do apologize if you saw that, and I appreciate your patience with me. So the first reason outside of AI chatbots completely as to why reviews are very important to your business is because your clients are going to use reviews to guide their decisions just as much as, if not more, than AI bots already do. So I'm not going to say that these are better than having a great experience with your business, but they are very important. So 94% of consumers will say a bad review convinced them to avoid a business. And 57% of people will only use a business if they have 4 or more stars. And this is all according to brightlocal.com. And then 73% of consumers are more likely to have a business, to trust a business if they have positive reviews, right? Sorry about that. So publicly viewable reviews are very important to having established trust with new potential clients, especially if they've never heard of you before, or if it's something that requires a lot of education surrounding it. And I'm gonna be the first one to tell you, I promise. health insurance requires some education in the purchasing process. Just saying. What prompts customers to leave reviews? There's really only three reasons outside from being motivated by like a prize or some sort of reward for reviewing, which we'll get to that a little bit later. Um, but there's only really three reasons why people give reviews, whether they had an extreme experience, whether that be positive or negative, with your business will prompt them to give a review. Having some sort of clarification. So if the name of your business or what your business does is not particularly clear, they will leave a review, and I'm gonna probably bet it's gonna be a negative one if they were unclear as to what your business was for, to try to help protect other people around them from having a confusing or poor experience. And then some personal connection they had with one of the people who work there, or if they work for the business themselves. And I will say that AI is being particularly good at recognizing when you have someone review the business who has no business reviewing your business, if that makes any sense. So if you're just if you're an employee putting positive reviews of your own business just to kind of balance it out. I've had a lot of people ask me if they should do those things. Usually AI understands if it doesn't tell you and remove it, it usually figures it out and will at least not figure that into the experience. But if you think about it, these are usually the three reasons, and I'm going to lean probably towards number one and number three are the two most common. I'm going to say number one is the most common extreme experiences are going to be the reason why people are reviewing businesses. So these are the questions that online chatbots use to guide the decisions as to who it's going to recommend, as we talked about earlier, when it gives answers. So are these reviews coming from reputable sources? Are they getting mentioned by other businesses? Does the business have any awards? And are all of these recent occurrences? Like we talked about before, it's about 3 years back, it will ask. Some chatbots also have a hard stop at 2023 just because there's so much data out there that it possibly could not scan it all. So some of them are built to have a hard end stop date. Oh, I won't go back any farther than this. So it's good not only, like, yes, of course, at the end of the day, these reviews are for humans. It's always good to keep having good reviews coming in and continuously ask for good reviews. So how can I encourage reviews? How can I get my clients to give me reviews? First of all, first and foremost, before I say any of these things, always make sure you follow the Medicare marketing rules and what soon is to be, as we discovered recently, the marketplace rules of don't pay for or offer incentives, especially monetary ones, for reviews. You're just breaking the rules there, right? So don't do that. But you can ask for these reviews once you've concluded on your business with the person. Ask during follow-up appointments. Respond to reviews that already exist. And then include a link to your Google business profile in your email signature so that they can easily review your business as they interact with you. You don't even have to really prompt for that response. You can just have it in your signature ready to go. And that person, once they feel motivated to do so, can leave a review without you even having to ask for them. Where is the best place to house them? You can house them in a bunch of different places. I would say on your website and Google business page are the top two best places to house your reviews, because those are the two that chatbots are going to scan and that are going to get crawled and that humans are going to read, right? Yelp, Facebook, and the Better Business Bureau are all also places that can house them. But unless you really have a group of people using Yelp or looking on Facebook for health insurance advice, I'm not particularly sure that's the best place. I'm not saying it's a bad place to have them. Of course, any good review is great no matter where it is. But if you really want to get the most bang for your buck for them, you would direct the person to your website or to the Google business page that you have for yourself if you don't have a website. So between 3 and 5 reviews on your website are best. Um, to get the most bang for the buck, if you're trying to say, like, because, keep in mind too, there's only so much room you have on a web page, right? You don't want to have someone scrolling, 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 scrolling forever, right? You don't want to put up every single review you've ever had, ever. I'm sure you have gajillions of great reviews, of course, because you work with action and you're wonderful. So don't put every single review up. If you have hundreds and hundreds, put your best ones. And then you do have options to create a link to your website from your Google Business account to display all of them as an average as that review down there at the bottom. Um, so those are an option to include as well. You can share it that way, like cross-posting them between your two websites. The other way you can do that is hitting the share review button on your Google Business profile, and share the review onto your website. Oh, yep. Good idea, Randy. I mentioned this earlier, but I wanted to wait until this point to bring it up. Um, it used to be a much more popular thing to just straight up buy reviews, like say, like this one, from a person named Dashing Fencing. And this eventually Google does kind of figure it out, that these are fake reviews or they're being purchased. And then they will remove them eventually. Usually buying a review is against the terms of the website. Um, I'm not going to pretend like I have the rules for every review-based website out in my brain saying that they're always against their terms and service, but it's most likely against the terms and service of that website to purchase reviews because it's kind of unscrupulous behavior. It used to be years and years ago that people would swear by this and the more reviews, the better. That's not necessarily the case. You can I should say too, you can flag reviews if you feel that they're for um, like the wrong website. Like if you are McDonald's insurance agency and the person thought you were McDonald's Mickey D's and they review the Mickey D's that's down the road from you and say, oh, they burnt my fries and they're like, you can be like, well, that's not me. I don't make fries. You can let Google know and it will investigate or remove them. But it will not remove negative reviews that are probably about you, and we'll get to that in a second. And you don't want to do that anyway. Okay, now that we've talked about why reviews are important, where to house them, and why they're important for chatbots, let's get into what to do when you do get a review, how to handle them, how to handle the human portion of that review. So a review comes in, whether it's positive or negative, 53% of the people who review expect that that business is going to respond to them, and they expect the business to respond within 7 days. This positive effect not only is good for the individual who reads that and thinks, oh, wow, like this business does care about the review that I gave them. It also works towards the algorithm when it comes to making sure you get the most bang for your buck for that review, helping boost your website and your Google business profile. So respond within 7 days. You don't have to jump right that second and do it. This doesn't really work retroactively. What I mean by that is if you didn't know this and you're listening to me for the first time, which, ugh, why are you listening to me for the first time? You should have been listening to me forever ago. Duh. And you go to your Google business profile, and let's say you have like 20 reviews. If you went through and answered all of them today, not only would the boost not really work in the same way, it would come off as a little weird to the person. I can say that from personal experience. The 2 times in my life I've ever reviewed a business, that business owner went back like a year and a half later and addressed my review, and I'm like, well, I don't care now. The deed is done. Like the situation already happened, and you clearly don't have any desire to resolve it with me. You're just trying to do something good for you by answering these reviews. So going back retroactively and talking to these people, probably not your best option at this point. Just promise yourself in the future, the next time you get one, you will start talking to them or responding to them within 7 days, regardless of if it's positive or negative. But what if they're bad? Don't delete them. Do not delete unless they are very clearly, like the example we gave before, not for your business, or if they're ridiculously inappropriate and abusive, do not delete them and do not flag them unless there's those two situations, right? Negative reviews, deleting negative reviews, I should say, is a two-edged sword of not working and doesn't do you any good. One is because positive or negative, that review still feeds into that cycle of boosting you up the algorithm. So one or two bad reviews is not the end of the world and will not tank your score by any stretch of the imagination. And for two, if on the human level, it looks a little weird and a little sus if someone gives you a negative review, you look right at it and you delete it every time. That person probably also is just going to put the review back again, and then you're going to be caught in this endless loop of like deleting all these bad reviews. Just don't do it. I'm going to tell you what to do. Just hang on. Like I said, good or bad, always reply. Otherwise, the reviewer feels ignored. Prospects can also see that as avoidance or lazy. A chatbot will see it as less reputable because the person doesn't understand or care about their reviews for their business. So, what should you include in your reply? If it's a positive, that's an easy one. Just say thank you. Just say thank you and write a little sentence that's, custom to that review. Thanks, I'm glad that your plan worked great for you. Thanks, I can't wait to do business with you again. Something like that. Make sure it's something where it's not like closing the door. Is the only thing I would really advise there. And then negative reviews are a bit more complicated, but overall, we're trying to give an opportunity for a dialogue that solves the issue that doesn't put you on blast on the internet for everybody to see the situation and solve it over time that way. So there are three steps to a successful review reply you can kind of apply this a little bit to a positive one as well, but this is more focused towards a negative review. You should thank the client. You should express concern and summarize the problem for them and invite the reviewee, the person who wrote the review, to contact you to resolve the problem. Do not admit to anything. This is like a court of law. Plead the fifth. Do not resolve it in public. Do not go back and forth with this person. If they keep going at you, like if you write something out to them to say, hey, contact me, we can resolve it. If they go back and they keep going, give them the opportunity again to contact you. If they go at you again, don't keep engaging with them. Give them the opportunity to have that resolved on your own home turf. Don't apologize. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but don't apologize. That's admitting defeat. That's admitting you did something wrong. You don't know if you did something wrong yet. Hold on. And don't promise anything to them, including that you will contact them. Don't make any promises. All right, so the review comes in. Lackadaisical benefits is the worst experience I've ever had with an agency. They were rude, unhelpful, and didn't have any affordable plans. Don't go to them. You'll regret it. Let's say that you got that review onto your page. How would you construct a response? Here's what I would say. I would say it sounds like some wires got crossed in the explanation of how your plan works. Notice how I didn't say I explained it wrong to you, or I didn't throw the accusation back on them either. I didn't say you didn't understand me, right? I just said it just sounds like the wires got crossed. Whenever a client is dissatisfied, we hope to get another shot to make it right. Please call me at this number so we can work this out. Again, making sure the responsibility of contact is on the person reviewing, not on you. I understand deeply the desire to avoid the conflict and ignore it. But if this is a motivator to you at all, 45% of the time, people who see a negative review are more likely to forgive the review if the business person responds to it. I think a lot of people do understand, especially if you're a bigger audience or a bigger agency, that not everyone is going to like you 100% of the time. There's always going to be someone who has a problem. But They will judge if you ignore them or argue with them or blame them or do anything other than what I said there, thanking them and giving them an opportunity to resolve it offline. So most of the time, honestly, it stops there. Most people don't want to have a dialogue. They don't. They don't want to call you. They don't want to hash the problem out longer. By that time, some time has gone by. They probably have calmed down. They're not interested in having a back and forth with you. But if they do, what should you do? I do want to address really quickly why, before I go into that, why you should not contact them first, because there are some people out there who swear by that. They swear by, you contact them first, you get out ahead of it. You see, it makes me feel like I'm responsible, makes them see me as responsible. It might be a really quick fix. It might be very easy for me to solve this problem for them. So they're going to think I am very dedicated to them. And some people really swear by that tactic. I personally don't, just because of how often it just ends up that they don't want to have the back and forth. They just want to be heard, right? They don't want to have a back and forth about how to solve the problem. And if they do, let them be the person that initiates that again, not you. Because it just some might find that it to be aggressive, or it might promote more negativity, or maybe you come up with a solution and they ignore you and you wasted your time. So if there are some people who swear by it, I don't. Prepare beforehand if possible. I know I just said you don't want to spend too much time doing this, but if you can, kind of prep beforehand after you get that review. And this is good for your business, even if the person never calls you back. Get all three sides of the story. What I mean by that is my dad always used to tell me there's three sides to every story, their side, your side, and the truth somewhere in the middle. So if there's other people involved in the story, you got your end. If there's other people, your agency, get their end. If they worked with another person and they mention them, ask them. You got their end of the story, put something together that kind of meets in the middle that finds where the truth is. Prepare some stop talking points for that person, whether it be, oh, they thought that their plan costs too much. As we know, as agents, we don't control the prices, but we do control the way that we direct the conversation to get them to the plan that fits for them. So maybe finding some things you could offer that could change their mind, and then have some solutions in your back pocket, whether that be to pair them with a new plan, whether that be to search a new network for a different option, whether that be just saying, hey, sometimes apologies do work. We're going to get there to that in a second. So why an apology might be beneficial to you. Maybe they just want to hear that you could have explained it differently and they misheard you, and here's how you explain it differently to them, and then now they understand. Maybe that's the solution, and that's okay. What does a reviewer expect when they do call you, and what do they expect within their response? They expect that their response is timely. So if they call you and you call, they expect you to call them back within a reasonably short period of time. If you answered their review, you've already won half the battle there because you responded to that review quickly. So if they do call you, and you call them back quickly, that's a double bonus on you for having responded timely. They expect some empathy from you. They expect you to actively listen to their problem. They don't expect you to interrupt them. They don't expect you to tell them that you're wrong. They expect for you to be able to summarize that issue and express some concern for their poor experience. And they expect you to have some sort of resolution to the problem. It doesn't have to be earth-shattering. It doesn't always have to be right there in that moment, but they do expect that you will solve the problem for them in some capacity. Here's an example of what I'm kind of talking about here. It sounds like going back to that original poor review about how terrible lackadaisical benefits is. After you had that phone conversation, that person says, I didn't realize I was going to pay so much for this plan. Maybe that's just their confusion at the end of the day. I didn't realize it was going to cost so much. I don't know how, but they're upset. And you can say it sounds like the details got lost in the shuffle as to how that you wound up paying more for your drugs than you expected. Nobody likes surprises when it comes to bills, and I would be upset as well. So notice I kept it kind of short. I didn't say, well, I told you that drug is going to be expensive. None of that. It's just meant to calm the person down, feel secure with you again, and then prep them for a discussion to solve the problem. Make sure that they feel empathy or that they feel you empathize with them. And then you find a solution. You can start that off usually with some sort of open-ended question. Starting, I usually try to think of it as like a two-way street, right? So asking them what do you feel is a good solution here? Another example could be since you're locked in when it comes to price, so I only can spend this much money on my premiums every month. Let's look at a different level of coverage, or let's look at how we could solve this for next year. If there is an education piece missing, as we know with health insurance, there probably is to some extent, if especially when it comes down to a payment thing. As long as you are gently educating, and that is it, I know that's a skill, and I know you have it, but that is a skill in and of itself. Switching plans during OEP is not a thing you can do. I'm sorry, other way around. Switching plans outside, sorry, of OEP isn't a thing we can do. So next OEP, you'll be first in line. We can switch your plan then. Or you can agree on an acceptable solution. I noticed in my past when I was doing customer service relations as my job, people often just want to be mad. They don't want solutions, they just want to be upset. And they're just going to say, nothing's going to solve this. Okay, well, then if that's truly the case for you, here are the things I can do. And then you outline, okay, what I can do for you is I can double check to see if that person's in network. I can call the doctor and see if we can get them added onto the network. I can do this. I can do this. I can't make your insurance free. I wouldn't focus on those can'ts. I wouldn't bring those can'ts up over and over again. I would just give options, preferably two, and say, these are our two options. Which one sounds better for you? Wrap the conversation up with an apology at this point if it does make sense to do so. I don't want you to leave here thinking that it's never appropriate to apologize for a negative review or for something negative that's said during this process, but just be tactful. What's the word? Intentional. Be intentional with the apology that you're giving, right? Don't just sorry, 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 sorry. If it's something if you truly messed up, own it and say I'm sorry. Don't apologize for things that you didn't create, problems that you didn't create. Once you have that solution, repeat it back to them and then give them a timeline of those events that will occur between now and the time that the solution will come to fruition. So what I mean by that is something like this. If you need to apologize, say, I'm really sorry that this happened to you, but I'm glad we have a simple fix here. I'll get you a new card as soon as I can once I get off the phone with you, and I'll text you the estimated arrival date as soon as I have it. Once you have solved the issue, ask if they are satisfied with that result. If they ignore you, you can try one more time, then leave it be. I would not ask over and over and over. Then remind them, you could, remind them that they can edit or change their review if it's appropriate or if it makes sense to do that. Use your best judgment on that one. Because you don't want to invite them to leave another negative review and start all this over again. But if you truly feel that this person has had their situation amended and they do feel better, then they would recommend your business even after this problem. Because as insurance agents, we even know some of the times we're solving problems we didn't even create, right? Like, and sometimes our clients understand that we were not the cause of their problem, right? Maybe something happened in billing or something happened somewhere else where something happened where it wasn't our fault, but it was a fault of their insurance. We were able to solve the problem. Now they can write a glowing review about us. Awesome, we win. We came out on top. If that's the situation, have them write a new review. And then the final steps is communicate the resolution with the rest of your office if that is applicable to you. So if you have multiple people working, say, hey, this person wrote in, they had this issue, I solved this issue for them. And this is what you can look forward to the next time you speak to them. Be very careful not to do this thing again with this person. Write notes to yourself in the future. This is also the point where I not so shamelessly plug having a CRM, a customer relationship management system for yourself in place, whether that be some sort of electronic system or whether you're an old school guy or gal and you like to write things down. Just having a system of any kind where at least you're writing notes about your clients so you can remember all these things that go on, whether they be outside of just the this is the plan they have. Okay. So I know we talked about a lot and I just talked a lot. But there is so many different points about reviews that are way beyond just the scope of someone reading the review, going, oh, reviews are great, and then contacting your business. You can get so much more out of reviews than that. And I know if you're a seasoned agent, or even if you're not, you've probably thought of word of mouth as your greatest ally to increasing your business. I always try to tell people like that that reviews online are like that times 10, right? They're very helpful to your business on that level of getting it to more in front of more people and to more people. So in order to get AI's attention and search bots as well, always keep those reviews flowing, always answer those reviews, acknowledge the praise or as we used to call it in the customer service world, area of opportunity of improvement. Acknowledge it publicly and solve it privately. Empathize with that person, and then resolve the problem and communicate how you're going to resolve that problem. All those things work together to get the attention of AI, get the attention of the search bots to get more reviews and more clients in front of you. Get yourself on those chat bots. So that's really all that I have for you today concerning reviews. You can connect with us on LinkedIn. And if you want to email us, Randy and myself, we are at learning@actionbenefits.com. And if you'd like to call the entirety of our wonderful establishment here, 248-356-8585, and you will be guided to whoever can best answer your question, whether that be someone in our amazing individual team, our stellar co-broker team, or Randy or myself or anybody else here, you can get a hold of them with that number. Randy, is there anything else you would like to tell our wonderful folks at home before we part ways with them today?
First of all, I noticed that we were not stellar in your descriptions or incredible, but but I think we do okay for ourselves. All that said, thanks for spending some time with us on that, Chelsea. Should anyone at home have more questions about these things, as always, please feel free to get a hold of us.
Have a great Memorial Day, if I don't see you, and enjoy that nice weather.